Good morning. It is 7:23. Welcome back to Great Dates, Tuesday, 19th of May. But Tuesdays about this time, we visit with our party scoopers. Yep, we have Craig Robinson and Jeff Link in studio with us and at our disposal. So what are we chatting about here today? Jeff, what do you have on the docket here today? We'll start with you.
Well, there's actually some news on the Democratic side.
Whoa!
I know, it's sort of a rare occurrence.
What's going on?
Craig gets to talk about all
there's a
Craig wants to know.
There's a Democrat party for president? I didn't know.
There is. So Secretary Clinton's back in the state this week. She was in Mason City yesterday, and I think Cedar Falls today, talking about the economy. Again, it's one of these smaller events. I think they had about 60 people in this house. She can really have a conversation with people and not just sort of a big crowd event like they did in the last campaign. So it's good to have her back. The other thing that's happened in the last week is Senator Bernie Sanders announced that he's hired a state director for Iowa. It's a guy named Pete D'Alessandro, who's an experienced Iowa political veteran, has worked for Governor Culver, and just has done a lot of work with labor unions around the state and other organizing. It's really a good pickup for the Sanders campaign. And then the third bit of news is that the O'Malley campaign looks like they're going to make it official maybe on the 30th of May, and O'Malley's going to jump in this race. So we will have some competition on the Democratic side.
And who's O'Malley? I apologize.
The governor of Maryland, Martin O'Malley.
That's right. You've talked about him before. Okay.
So it's great that Hillary is in Iowa again and campaigning, but the big question and the big subject this weekend is will she ever answer any questions from the media, especially on this whole email issue that continues to develop, where she handed over her emails from her own personal server, but now after combing through all that, they realize that there's another Hillary Clinton email address that she used as Secretary of State, and so it's going to be interesting. I actually think having these other candidates in the Democrat race might force her to actually have to answer some of these questions on this. I'm shocked that there hasn't been more of more outrage maybe over her personal emails server that she used for official government business.
Well, now they release that they're releasing her emails in January of next year, so people are going to be able to look at them if they want to as the public, as open.
That's always suspicious to me, because that's a long time.
It's a long.
You know what I mean?
It is a long time, but we'll eventually be able to see them. And two, we're finding out, granted, they're not Secretary of State, but that other politicians have done the same. They've used their personal email. So it's coming out that other people have been doing this. So it doesn't. Is it such a big deal that she did the same thing that other politicians are doing?
Well, the big issue though is when you are not a politician, but you're an actual government head of a government agency, and the fact that, look, I've spent a lot of time over the last 8-9 years doing freedom of information requests in Iowa and the national government and the federal government, and when you start asking the federal government for information, public information that they're supposed to provide, they throw roadblock.
I believe it.
And at least in the state, you can shake the tree hard enough and usually get what you need.
Right.
But the federal government's horrible. And then you put on top of it, you have someone like Hillary Clinton who, look, I understand that if you were going to request information from her, it could be sensitive, it could be blacked out. I get that. I have no problem with that. But the fact is that by using her personal email address in her personal system, I can't get any information. And so if our elected officials are not, if there's no scrutiny, if there's really no way when they do things to skirt around the fact so that the media and other people can't actually look in and request your information, then it really, I think, undermines our system of government. It says that there's people who are above and beyond any sort of scrutiny, transparency, or any of that, and I think that's really dangerous. And I worry that this is getting to be a bigger problem in this country than it really should be.
Well, it's a good point. I'm sure you've FOIA'd the Senate emails of those Republicans running for president, haven't you?
Well, it's different. I mean, look, when you are, it's just like I can't FOIA a Iowa legislature. I'm not privy to their communications because they're elected officials. I can't do a request and see what Jason is talking to, some legislator. That's different. We're talking about a government worker, a government agency, and that's where you can. It's just like I can't get the someone's personal emails back and forth, but I can go and cast a net and say I want to look into the Department of Safety's, there's some scandal or something going on there. I want to dig into that. I can request that information because they're state employees or state workers.
Right, but the point is that Senator Rand Paul and Senator Lindsey Graham, they have emails that are government emails that you'll never get access to, ever.
But we don't give access to people who are elected officials. There's a different standard. There's a different bar in which they're going to. That information's not available to anyone. It's different when you're
I get what you're saying, but at her level, wouldn't there be some things they don't want you to know either, just because of security reasons?
Absolutely, and that's why they redact it and they black that out. But it's like, so I can't, look, the Des Moines Register will ask for, you can FOIA Governor Branstad's calendar to see what's on it and where he's going, and that is allowed. But you can't, look, when you are the Secretary of State, and we have this issue with the Clinton Foundation, where foreign governments are pouring money into it, and we have all these things going on, and none of it happened where you can actually peer in and look. Every government worker knows that if someone wants to FOIA information, look, you know this. They FOIA'd Matt Schultz's email all the time, the Secretary of State. What's he doing? And they dig through it and they try to find issues. That's fine. That's allowed. If you are an elected official and you're the head of an office, your email is up for grabs. That people can request that information and go through it. Hillary Clinton knew that. But so what did Hillary do? She set up her own system so that you can't.
Gotcha.
And that is why it's an issue.
Well, but here, the outrage is really contained in two places. It's contained among Republican activists, and it's contained within the Beltway in Washington, D.C. I mean, I think the issues that people are bringing up to Secretary Clinton when she's in Mason City and when she was in the state earlier are about jobs. The one issue that she said people are talking to her about is the pervasive problems with drug addiction and all the deaths that are coming from either meth in Iowa or heroin in New Hampshire. That's what she's been hearing about. They're real life issues that affect families and your job and your future more so than emails and FOIAs and all the things that reporters in Washington love to bat around.
Well, look, I always look. There are issues that the media and the professional class focus on, and they're legitimate issues, and I completely understand that those aren't the issues that normal people care about because they care about what they're dealing with. But still, this becomes an issue of trust. Transparency, which is a very popular word in our government, which there doesn't seem to be much here if you're a Clinton, and ultimately. Trust among other nations and building. If you want to be the President of the United States, I think you do have to be open and transparent. Look, Jeb Bush has opened up all of his emails to go through. It's cost him quite a few little issues along the way. I think that's a good thing, to put it all out there. I think it's, and I'm glad that she's going to, but January, I mean, it's like, here's 20 days, guys, get it all out there, before the
Is there something they're looking for specifically that they're so intent on diving into her emails so much? It seems like it's a, no pun intended, a witch hunt.
Well, no, but there's something major to look at. You have the Clinton Foundation, which is raising millions and millions and millions of dollars. Some of it
for charitable activities.
For charitable activities, some of it from foreign governments. Some of it while she was Secretary of State, which she has incredible influence. And so this is where the argument that they're making is did she use her position as Secretary of State to benefit, to leverage that to help their own foundation.
All right, well, so as of now, we have to wait till January. Maybe it'll change between now and then.
Or I doubt we'll forget about it.
I don't think Craig's going to.
Thank you, gentlemen. It is 7:33. We'll be back. You're watching Great Day Live on KCWI.